Are you listening? Damn.
What's going on, everybody? This is your man Jamm, and welcome back to another episode of the Keep It a Buck podcast. And today I got one of my homegirls with me, Cerela Finlay. What's going on?
It's going on, just like trying to get through this whole COVID thing like the rest of us.
Trying to survive, like ducking and dodging all these people coughing and sneezing.
Oh, basically, and like watching everybody fighting in public when somebody's not wearing a mask. So, like, watched that earlier at like a grocery store. It's kind of funny.
What has been like your COVID practice? What have you been doing like during like the lockdown to keep you sane?
I mean, like, at least like getting out and like even if it's not going in public spaces, at least like driving around and like getting out of my house.
Like, just gotta leave?
Like just gotta leave. Like I like confined in my house. Like my place is already so small as it is, and I like. What was it? Like, I saw my mom the other day and she like looked at me and it was so funny. She's like, "Oh my God, you're so pale." And, like, that's like a funny thing to say to me because like I'm tan, but like to her, she's like, "Oh my God, you're like white." Like I was like, and it's because like I'm like hiding in my apartment the whole summer.
Oh man, it's been real. Like I remember when it first went down. And like when the whole toilet paper thing was going on, I'm like, why the hell is everybody buying up all the tissue? And like, why is it becoming so hard to find? I remember seeing like scalpers like selling like tissue for like rolls of tissue for like $3 to $4 for like a single roll. I'm like, this shit is getting crazy. Like I can't deal. And one of like the funniest things was when I was like it's a strip club not too far from where I live, right? And what they were doing was they said, like, it's free admission for you if you're bringing a roll of toilet paper. I died. I should have took a picture of it. It was hilarious. They had it up for a while, too.
They're like fiending for toilet paper themselves. They're like,
oh my
we need
God,
to like stock
crazy.
up at like our place.
Like, it's getting real in these streets. Well, but just during this whole lockdown, I spent way too much time gaming. I mean, that's all I pretty much was doing, especially when got during like the big shutdown. I got laid off for a couple of months, and I was just like heavy into gaming. I did nothing constructive. Like I didn't take a hold of any of this time. Like, let me go try to learn something. Like, nope, just food and gaming.
I mean, I don't think anybody related. Like, everybody was like, it's like, like that New Year resolution kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm going to lose weight. Like, oh, during this time, like, like everybody was like, during this, like, quarantine, I'm going to, like, exercise at home or I'm going to learn a new skill. Nobody done that. Like, everybody just, like, like maybe, like, the first day or first week or so. And, like, after that, it's, like, reduced back to, like, Netflix and, like, eating and, like, all that.
Chilling hard. But let's go ahead and get right into our first topic. And the topic for today is, do we feel like our parents prepared us for adulthood? And what do you think? Do you feel like during your childhood or during your teenage years you were given like enough information or like the tools to be like a successful adult or just be like a thriving, functional person?
Like when like thinking about this, like I like actually thought about my childhood and like my upbringing, and it's like it's both yes and no in a weird way. Like and the way that it is that they prepare me is not in the way that you think. Like I like thought about how like my parents brought me up, and it's like they like didn't teach me anything. Like like I'm gonna like be realistic with you. They didn't teach me anything. Like honestly, like if I described like the way my parents brought me up, it was like mostly like, and I described like my parents had gotten divorced like when I was like 13, 14, and I ended up living with my dad because he was the financial supporter. And the way I described my dad a lot was like he was just like my financial supporter. That was it. Like like he like that's how he supported me was financially, and like no other way. Like that was like he
That's his
paid
role.
the
That's
bills.
what dad does.
Yeah, that was it. Like it, like I would like it was so funny. Like I would just be at home, like because my dad worked like let's say like 6 a.m. to like midnight, so I never saw my dad. And I'd be at home and like the electricity would go out or something and be like, okay, it's not like we're like hard on money. It's like we have the money. I'm like calling up my dad, like, dad, like the
Just
electricity
work all the
turned
time,
off.
yeah.
And he's like, yeah, like, dad, what's going on? And he's like yelling at me. He's like, why didn't you pay the bill? Like, we have the money. Why didn't you do it? And I'm like,
like, how am I supposed to know to do this?
exactly. That's the kind of thing where it's like, they didn't teach me how to do this. It's like, my dad's like calling me, yelling at me, like the electricity's turned off. And that's like, I'm 15. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, I have no understanding about utility bills.
Like, what's DTE? Like, what are you talking about to me? Like what? And that's how I learned stuff was like, I was put in these situations. And it's like, like I could ask them and be like, okay, so what do I do here? But it's more like, I always didn't want to like bother my parents kind of thing with that kind of stuff. Like, my dad's like at work all day long. He used to like do construction, like, asphalt, that kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm not trying to bother my dad, like about like, oh, how do I like pay the bill over the phone? Like, cause my dad's the type that's gonna, he's like my dad's the type that's gonna roast me if I like call him and ask him that. He's not, are you dumb? Like my dad's the type that's like, he's like, oh yeah, well, I'm learning disabled, but I know how to do this as a like 40-year-old man adult. So like you as a 16-year-old should know how to do it automatically. Like
well,
if I know how to do
pressure.
it, you should do it. Like that's how my dad was like. So it's like, okay, well, I can't ask my dad. And then even with when my parents were like still together, like right before then, like my mom was always there for me growing up. But the problem is like, I'm a mixed child. Like my mom's from the Philippines. She was born and raised there up until she turned like 19 and 20 or something like that. My dad brought her over. So my mom had me like maybe a year, 2 years after she's here. And it's like, my mom's still trying to learn how to like live here. Yeah. Because my mom grew up in the Philippines where it's like, that's a third, completely different. That's a third world country. Like it's a very poor country, especially the environment she grew up in. It's like 100% different to her. So it's like when my mom had me, even when I was younger, like let's say even how the fuck does this shit work? How does this work? Like she's still trying to figure this out. So it's like there's no way I can ask my mom. Like, and that's a little bit hard as like considering I'm a female and like I gotta rely on my mom for some stuff, but it's like she doesn't know what's going on. Like it's like a big health thing. Like I remember like, a big thing of girls talk about is like, oh, like when did you get your period? How did that work? That kind of thing. And it's like the first time I heard about it, like I was at the doctor's and like a funny thing was like my doctor was like a Filipino doctor. And they would speak Tagalog to one another. I don't know Tagalog. It's just like, like I just know English. So it's like, I got people in front of me talk about my health and that like, she like turned to me at like random and she was like, in English goes like, have you had your period yet? And I'm like, what the fuck's a period? Like,
what is this?
Like, what the fuck's a period? Like I've never heard that. I'm like, what? And my mom was just like, no. And then I'm like, okay, that's a question for later. And we're in the car and I asked her about it. My mom, like, this is how my mom explained it to me. She's like, yeah, like how like once a month or whatever, like I bleed. I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, that's what that is. I was like, oh, okay. That's the end of it. That's the end of explaining it to Cerela. Like Cerela's like, okay, I guess that's what a period is. All right. And then even when I got my period, like, it's not like I ran to my mom. I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? Like, I was just like, okay, well, my mom said she uses this. So, okay, well, there we go. Like
this is happening now.
Like, there we go. Like, that's how we do this. Like, I couldn't ask my mom because it's like my mom barely knew what the fuck was going on. Like, it's like a thing. Like, I actually learned, like, I'm an only child, but there was like a point where I could have not been an only child. But because my mom grew up in an environment where going to the doctor was like extremely expensive. Like, like you had to be dying to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
She was not used to like, like if you're pregnant or something, like you go to the, like, oh, you go to your doctor just to make sure everything's okay. My mom's like had like really complicated health. So in general, she needed to go to the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up not going in that like because she just could not get it in her head like you have money here. You have access to healthcare
Yeah.
that you did not your entire life. So like you
Mm-hmm.
need to take advantage of that. And like she just never did and it that
Yeah, I
like
get
that
it though.
ruined her health.
Yeah, I
Like
get it
she
though.
just couldn't understand it or grasp that. So like or get used to it. So that's like the hard part. It's like I can go to my mom for a lot of stuff because it's like
Mm.
she doesn't know what's going on either. She's learning it like I am too.
So you felt like you had to raise yourself a lot in a way?
Oh yeah, definitely. Which, like that's how it's like my parents helped me be an adult is
Mm.
that I was independent early on. Like to this day, if something comes up, I'm not like a lot of jokes is like, oh, calling the doctor and setting an appointment. Like, what do I do? Like I was doing that when I was 15. Like if I didn't do that, I was not going to the
Yeah.
doctor. So it's like,
Like, look,
you
like
know,
your levels of stress and my levels of stress are two different things. Like,
exactly.
we're at two different places. We would cover that. Yeah, I
So
feel
that's
you.
it's like I'm already used to that, and it's like that's how they help me. It's like I'm already independent at an early age. Like some
Mm.
people like used to be like, oh my god, are you like 18? Like when I was like 14, like just because I acted like I knew what was going on because
Mm.
like I had to like
I feel
it's
that.
either I pretend like something's going on or like people are looking at me like does she like where's her parents like where are they at? I'm like I don't know like my dad's at work.
I feel like I was the only. Like, I'm the eldest of my siblings. Like I didn't have get my first sister until I was 7. So it's like for the first 7 years of my life, I'm extremely spoiled. I'm getting all the shit that I want. I'm having a good ass time as a kid. Like I got a toy room, our own dedicated toy room and shit. But then when my mom had got pregnant with my first sister, she got ovarian cancer at the same time. So it was a complicated like pregnancy and everything. So when after she gave birth, like she was really sick, like couldn't move a lot of days. So I had to help my mom out, help my mom out physically and stuff, and still help do a huge amount of work like with this brand new baby that I have. Like I said, I'm 7. I have no idea like how to take care of a baby. I'm still trying to play with Spider-Man toys and shit. Like I don't have no like type of experience with a baby. So like in that type of environment, how I had to grow up fast, especially until my mom recovered from the cancer, having to go through all like the cancer treatments and the chemo and everything like that, and so she can start providing like a bigger role in helping with my younger sister at the time. So I definitely get where it's like the stuff that other people like stress about is like you have like just completely like that doesn't even like affect you. A
Exactly.
lot of
Yeah.
stuff like people end up like stressing about. Well, since you grew up as an only child and you were I assume you were left alone a lot, right? Because you see your dad was always working. Um, so like what other adults like really had a big impact on your life when we was coming up? Like what lessons do you feel like you grabbed from other adults?
Like to be honest, like I can't really think of anything like significant because um another like big part like I guess like no, I wouldn't say issue, but like I guess like social interaction was that I was far away from everything. Like
Mm-hmm.
I lived in e-course growing up and but I went to school and like did everything else like 3 4 cities away, which was like 20 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
And e-course it's like not the greatest city, like it's a lot of crime. It's not like it's the outskirts of Detroit. It
Mm.
actually used to be part of Detroit. Um and I went to like a white suburban neighborhood for school.
Yeah.
So like, like a lot of like white suburban kids, and their parents would hear e-course and be like, oh no, like you can't go over there. Like what? Like
Yeah.
drugs, like,
I get
like
that,
that
yeah.
kind of thing. So it's like I was kind of separated a lot, I feel like, from people in general, just because like my life was like separated so hard. Because the school I went to, it's like everybody was like that, I feel like. Even like the teachers were kind of like that in the way where they'd hear e-course and they'd be like, oh my God, like, like
Yeah,
can't go
that's
over there
awesome.
kind of thing. And in the neighborhood, it was like either like very, very old people that were like, not good people to associate with, or like teenagers that were like, kind of causing problems, or young kids myself. So it's
Yeah.
like I never really had anyone to look up to, I guess, or like, you know, like take anything from. Like maybe it was just like uh I would take just like little bits from everybody I would see. Like if I saw something good, I would be like, oh, like keep that in mind. Like that's something to do. Like I guess like, like first come to mind, like at least in my neighborhood would be his name was Ernie. He was like a neighborhood older guy that like everybody hung out like at his house, like on his front porch. Everybody like was allowed to play on his yard. He would have candy and like, stuff like that for after school. And he was just like a really like giving person. Like if I was like his age where it's like, I'm older, like I'm not trying to like be around a bunch of kids screaming and yelling and stuff like that. I'm not trying to have like teenagers like messing around on like my like lawn and stuff. Like yeah, like I love kids, but it's like
At a
his
distance.
generosity was like far beyond what I could like comprehend as a child. I was like, oh my God, like I could not.
Like I like kids, but like across the street.
Exactly. Like it's like maybe not like right on my front lawn, but like, distance. But he's a very giving person, but at the same time it's like he also would not let like especially the teenagers like run over him. Like if they were like being disrespectful, like he would put his foot down and be like, okay, no, go. Like you're not gonna be like this. Like this is a nice place. Like you're not gonna like bring this negative energy here. So it's like I took from that like, oh, like you gotta be nice, but don't let people like walk over you kind of thing. And it's like, there were some, like it's not like I entirely looked up to him. It's just like that was something I noticed about him that it's like, oh, that's good to keep in mind. Like, something to do. Like instead of being like the teenagers that he's yelling at, be like,
Yeah,
more giving and nice.
Yeah, like the
kinda
city
thing.
of Ecorse is a weird place to grow up, because it's like the population is like it's either like very old or very young. It's not that many. Like there's not that many like middle aged people that lives in Ecorse. Yeah, so it's a very weird like population. Like I went to up until high school, I went to school in Ecorse. I went to school at
Oh, really?
Yeah, Bunch, Ralph J. Bunch is where I went to elementary school. Then I went to Project Excel, which is a smaller school that was linked up to a couple of other schools in Ecorse. Like it was right next to the high school there. So yeah, like the population it is a weird place to grow up as a kid. Like it's gonna be a lot of other kids your age. Then there's gonna be a lot of other people that's not your age. So that's it's either like super old or like super young. But that experience of you having like to go out like further away to like go to school and everything, which is like from like a half hour away from where you live to go to school. Like how did that affect you getting friends like in the neighborhood? Did you have any like friends like growing up that stayed in the same neighborhood as you?
Like not like very close. Like I did have like one friend, I think she lived like probably like blocks down, like on the same street as me. Like I remember being friends with her for a very long time. Like I tried to like I was actually very it's funny thinking about it. I'm a very anxious adult. Like I have a hard time making friends kind of thing. But as a child, like you could get me to shut up. Like I would talk to everybody. Like I actually remember a big like memory is like all my elementary and middle school teachers writing down comments like on report cards, like being like, she can't be quiet in class, like she keeps talking, like kind of thing. Like, and it's funny thinking about that. But yeah, no, like growing up, like I was friends with everybody, like even like the older teenagers, like I would like be friends with them as like a like 7-year-old. Um, so no, I tried to be friends with everybody in the neighborhood that was like not completely like causing trouble, I guess. Like yeah, like
He wasn't trying to be in
girl,
these streets.
yeah, like you know, like I was a little like Asian little girl. Like I was not like
He wasn't built for that street
like,
life.
I barely like could lie to my mom and like feel like that about it. Like you know, as a child, like I was not doing any of that. Like it's so funny now. Like I'm like big into the cannabis industry. Like you know, I'm investing my future into it. And like as a child, like I was like, drugs? Oh my god, I could never. And it's yeah, like I was such a straight edge as like a child. Like I could never. And it's just funny to think about stuff like that. But yeah, no, like there was a girl, like I was friends with her for a very long time in my neighborhood, up until like just like the mentality of the neighborhood, just like always wanting like drama kind of thing. I was like get me as far away from drama as possible. Like I hated conflict. I was not about it as a child. Like so if I saw that arise, I was like, nope,
Gotta go.
I'm not about that. And like, but she was not like that. She was like, we were in the same neighborhood. Like this girl knew where I lived. Like if she wanted to keep causing problems, she's like, okay, well, I don't know where she's at. Like it's like 10 houses down that way. Like, so that became a problem. That also like kind of turned me off to being friends to people in the neighborhood. Cause like, it was like such a bad way to end a friendship. Like if we could have like, I was okay like with just like being like, yeah, okay, we're at a point where in our lives where we're not the same. Let's stop being friends. But she wanted to be vindictive about it, and like that just kind of like ruined me being friends with people in the neighborhood. And the problem with that is like I live in the neighborhood, like you know that's if I don't have my license, like you know that's how I hang out with people. At school, like I could not get anybody to come over to hang out with me because it's like, oh my god, e-course, like no, my god, like can't go over there.
I get that. Like the first time I ran in like situations like that where people didn't want to come out to like where I lived is when I didn't really get that until like college when because I had my freshman year of college was at Detroit Mercy. So like the College of Detroit Mercy is dead smack in the middle of the hood. I mean, this is a part of the rough part like of Detroit. Like literally like around the corner, it's a McDonald's that they call Murder Mac because it's always a shooting going over there. So it's deep in the trenches. So, but but when I got to the campus and like went inside there and everything, like it's almost like a gated community. Like so, it's a big fence around like the whole like entire campus. It's like a whole different world once you go in there. So like I would ask like some of my white friends that were there, like yeah, you want to go like down the street, go grab some pizza at a Little Caesars or something like that, and they're like, I wouldn't dare step foot outside of this campus and everything, like just completely petrified to like experience like the city like that they're in and stuff. It was crazy. And at that point in time, like so I never experienced that because. Most of the people that I knew were like from my area because I grew up in like Southwest Detroit, so that's still like the downriver area. So like I said, I went to a lot of my school in E-course. So most of the white people that I knew, like they're from the same type of shit that I'm from, like same area. So
yeah,
you know, so like they're not gonna be nervous or nothing like that. But so that was the first time like I met people that I was like, or actually like literally quite afraid. Like, look, I'm not going to Detroit. I'm not going nowhere near that area. Nothing like that. Like this is as far as I'm going. So yeah, I understand that. But like I said, I was lucky to get it. Not to run into that later on in life. So that didn't really like affect me like affect my social skills like at all. But see, you caught that very early on. So, but in what aspect do you feel like you weren't prepared as an adult for?
Like it's probably like a big thing, like thinking about like like how my like I guess like how my parents screwed me as like being an adult now is like a big thing like my family would make fun of me of is like my parents spoiled me.
Yeah.
Was like, like I was an only child and
Mm.
like I was also like, like the only child that like they couldn't spend a lot of time with. So that was the way they
Mm.
compensated for that lack of love. It was like even now it's like instead of apologizing, it's like what's the last thing she wanted? Let's buy this for her, like kind of thing. Like that's like how they expressed love to me was like,
The
giving me
gifts,
whatever
yeah.
I wanted. So that spoiled the fuck out of me as like a child. Like, like up until like what the age of 18, like if my parents like fucked up with me or like like they needed to apologize in any way, which my parents had like or not had, they have really bad anger issues.
Mm.
So like they would like and like they're also like a bit of narcissists. So
Mm.
like if they like messed up, they would blame me for things and they would be very harsh about blaming me for things.
Mm.
And like they would never admit to me, but they would eventually realize that like, oh yeah, like I took it too far with Cerela, like, like I gotta apologize, but like I can't apologize to her. So like, let's buy her
Mm.
something. Like so, like I was spoiled the fuck out of like, up
Yeah.
until like birth until like I turned 18. Like I was getting whatever I wanted essentially.
Mm.
And like that fucks me to this day. Like, because like it's like now I'm like I have this mentality of like, oh, I want it, like, well, I'm gonna get it. Like, well, I'm gonna like, yeah, like I'm broke. Like I like like I'm like I don't go to college, but I am college like student age. I am broke. I can't have that mentality.
Mm.
But like I said, like 18 years straight
Yeah,
of
but I want it though. It's like, but
exactly.
I want it though. Like, I get that. Like,
So
I think it's a lot of ways my parents didn't prepare. Like my mom and dad, like we're never together. After I was born, or anything. So I never like grew up in a household where both of them were together. And like my mom had me young too. I think she had me like 17, and so So I think a big thing is like I don't think like they helped out at all with like the mundane adult stuff, like understanding what the hell credit is and shit. Like I really when I think about it, I really feel like I don't feel like they really knew what the hell they were doing as adults. So like it was just like when I became of age, I was just like, well, figure it out. Like you got it, Or I think it's because I was so independent and it wasn't really dependent coming up. That just figured like, oh yeah, like he got it. Like yeah, like it's cool. So, but like I think that like I never even got like the sex talk. I never got that growing up. Like I said, like, nothing about like no type of like financial like education whatsoever between that. So everything is just pretty much just like trial and error, like as far as like adulthood.
fake it until you make it.
Fake it until you make it. Like just straight trial and error. Like I think that my parents had a bad time understanding how to be like intimate with another person. Like so I didn't really understand how to like to craft relationships like from them. I had to look at other people and stuff, Like, cause even like to this day, but neither of my parents like married. Like, but I'm married. I've been married for like 5. I'm going on 5 years now. So like, I had to learn relationship like advice and everything from
Watching
other
other
people.
couples.
Yeah, watching mainly like older couples. Like mainly like my grand uncles and stuff. Like people like in their 70s and shit like that. Those who I really got a lot of like relationship advice from, like talking to them and learning, like getting like a lot of skills. Like I didn't learn how to ride a bike until I was like 10. Like because my mom was always working, so she didn't have a lot of time, and I spent a lot of time, helping raise like my sisters. So I didn't really get a lot of like that childhood time. I remember it was me and my best friend at the time, Kevin. Like he wanted to go bike ride. I'm like, look, man, like I do not know how to ride a bike. So we just spent the whole day like teaching me how to ride the bike. And I remember, like, so I grew up in the same area. So, like, it was so funny. Like, the day after I learned how to ride a bike, my bike got stole. So,
that's like, I lost a bike doing that too. But, like, you know, like, I just, like, I got a brand new bike, like, you know, from one of my family members. I'm like, fuck yeah, bike. Let me go right over to my cousin's house across the street, ride this bike. I'm, like, you know, to this day I'm forgetful, but like even child, like, you know, I forget things, turn it around, fucking walked right back home, forgot the bike against their house, and like got stolen. Like I was dumb as a child, man. like that's how forgetful I was. I rode my bike over there, so excited, and then like I was like, oh yeah, let me go home. Walk back across the street. Next day I'm like, damn, didn't I have a bike? Like stolen. Like, you know, you'd think I was doing drugs as a child.
He said, damn,
like,
didn't I have a bike? That is funny.
like no survival instincts as a child. Like
So like I know you said you feel like because of your childhood, because of your parents, like as a consequence of being left alone a lot, you became like very like independent upon yourself. But like what do you feel like you gained a lot of emotional maturity like from that being in so much solitude, or did you get that later on, or do you still feel like you don't have that much like emotional maturity?
well, like I said, like, you know, my parents, like, they had a hard time like expressing emotion themselves, like, you know, like expressing forgiveness or even like love, like, you know, like I don't really like remember my dad like hugging me or like, you know, like kissing me and stuff, like showing emotion to me, because like my dad was barely there. Like like my dad was always at work. Like my dad saw the way to I think my dad saw the way to raise a family or like to raise a child the best was the best way he could was financial support. So like
you got
you
clothes
know, like
on your back, you got food in your belly, you're good. Like shit like
exactly.
that. Yeah,
like it's like emotions, like what? No, like I'm here for like make sure you surviving kind of thing.
Like you ain't dead, right? I love you. You good. You straight.
Exactly. Like I show my love by putting that roof over your head and putting food in your belly, like kind of thing. Which you know I'm grateful for, but it's like, that also like hurt me. You know, like growing up, like it's like, you know, like I had a hard time saying sorry to people, like for the longest time, like, you know, like actually apologizing, like it, like sincerely instead of half-assed, like how my parents kind of do, like, you know, instead of oh yeah, whatever, sorry, like kind of thing, like sincerely apologizing and like owning up to mistakes, like or like even showing love. Like I remember like my friends saying like I love you to me, like, you know, like I was like what the fuck, like like this is weird, like I'm getting embarrassed, like, you know, like oh my god, like did you just confess to me, like no, like, you know, like they're showing me love, like but like
it's basic human interactions.
oh yeah, like, and it's not like my parents never said I love you, but it's like they had their own like little thing for saying I love you, which is like it's so stupid. Like my dad still says it, which is like love, like kind of thing. Like like they like that's like I think like probably the single most like emotional thing like my parents have ever showed me is like that kind of like unique like saying oh I love you. And, like so they said that to me a lot, but it's like showing that through actions or even more words than just saying that one phrase. Like I never really got that a lot. Like it was like more of the material possessions, buying me stuff. Like that was how they showed love. So like that kind of like messed me, not like I don't want to say messed me up, but it's like growing up, like going into like a relationship, like it was hard like to find the ground of like showing like affection or like like instead of like it was so weird, instead of me showing under affection, like, you know, not showing enough affection, I showed too much affection. Like I was like as if I was trying to compensate for years of not being able to freely show affection to like my parents or whatever.
I feel that. Like I think it's weird when like having hindsight, looking back to see like how shit like your childhood affected you and everything. Like my mom has a big thing like with touching. She does not like to be touched. Like you have to like warn her if you're gonna give her a hug, and the hug is gonna be quick as fuck. Like you're only getting like 2 seconds, you know, like 2 seconds max.
Yeah,
she does not do like the touching thing. So, but my wife, like when she grew up, like her and her mom, they are very like intimate with each other. So they're always like, she's always hugging on her, like they're laying down like together and shit. Like they're just very, very intimate. Her whole family is like that. So when we got together and she's giving a lot of hugs, I'm like, I don't know what the hell is going on. Like this is not something that I normally do. What is happening? Like you're just around.
Were you like uncomfortable by it? Like, did you like want to like stop? Like, what is this? Like, kind of thing.
I wasn't uncomfortable. I was more so shocked by it. You know, like cause even with other people I dated, I never really got that much like physical like affection, and so it was just weird. Like so because I didn't get that much physical affection like with my mom. And like didn't really get that much physical affection with like other relationships. So when I got with her, and it was like an abundance of it. It was just more so. It's like a culture shock type deal, you know, like just taken aback and like just had to get used to it and understand. Like, look, like people do this. Like it is okay. Like this is a normal thing. People
this is normal
all the time. You know, like people love doing hugs and kisses and shit like that. You know, like it's fine, dude. Like chill. So like, I just had to get like accommodated to that, and yeah. So it's just weird. Like I said, like looking back to see what ways like your childhood like affects your adulthood. Like you say, you had like a big problem like saying sorry, whereas like me on the other hand, like I feel like I overcompensate like for saying sorry. I feel like I say sorry like too much at times, because I think I had issues. I had like abandonment issues. So my dad, because at the same time where my sister was born, my dad had moved to Kentucky. So it was like, so I didn't really see him at all anymore. Well, I used to see him like every week. I used to see him like on weekends. He would like cut my hair and everything. But then like when I had my sister, my mom like got cancer and he had left. So I was like, shit, it's a lot going on right now. And like I didn't understand like why he left. Didn't know. I knew he had left for a job and everything, but like being that young, not understanding, you know, like why he left, like took it upon me and stuff. So like I wanted to be extra good. So overly apologizing for shit, overly compensating for stuff, and seeing like how that bled like into my adulthood. Like I think like just more so recently, I'm sliding into the point in my life where I'm not like just constantly like apologizing for shit. You know, like I could do something little, like something that could be like a slight inconvenience or some shit that people wouldn't even like recognize, and I'm profusely trying to apologize, trying to make sure like you understand what I was doing, what I was saying. I'm not trying to hurt no feelings and shit like that. So I think I'm just now coming to a point where that's not a thing. Whenever that's not like a thing in my life, but it's, like I said, it's just weird, you know, when you looking back and having those epiphanies, like
I feel that. No, like even like, you know, you saying that like, you know, you feel like you overcompensate by saying you apologize a lot. Like I feel like I felt that too, like, you know, like, but that was like at the point where I had started to become depressed, which was like, what was it? Like junior year of high school. Like when I started to become depressed, like that was at that point where I was just like living with my dad, and living with my dad, like it's like anything I do, like it went through him. Like I saw my mom like maybe like once, twice a week. Like I texted her, but it was more like she texted me like, you know, like broken text messages, like English text messages, like, oh, you okay? Like, yeah, okay, like kind of thing.
All right.
Cool.
Let's see you later.
You alive? Okay. Like kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like, so like that's how I communicated with my mom mostly a lot, because like she was busy trying to like, because like after she like divorced my dad, like she was like on her own, like she had to like find somewhere to live, find you know work, like you know that kind of thing. Like she was like the housewife for the last like what was it, 14 years
Yeah.
like that she had been there, 15. So it's like she had to like learn how to like live on her own. So it's like my mom's busy.
Yeah.
So it's like anything I go through is like with my dad, and it's like I just like knowing my dad, like I was like, oh, I can't wait to like tell my dad I'm depressed. Like he's not like he's from that generation where they're like, oh, depressed, like
Yeah.
that's fake, like kind of thing. And it's like,
Uh,
uh, I did tell my dad one time, or tried to, and he like I remember it. He was like, what do you have to be depressed about? Like I have, if anything, I have so many reasons to be depressed about. And like that's where it's like I felt like I was such an inconvenience to like everyone and anyone. Like that's at that point where it's like I like a lot of those things like I kind of like did a 180. Like instead of like having a hard time apologizing, I was apologizing for everything. Like like somebody was like, "Oh, Cerela, you look tired today." "Oh, I'm sorry." Like, like apologize like I'm apologizing because I look tired, like, like kind of
Yeah.
thing. Like,
I get that.
I'm apologizing for everything. So it's like, at that point, I feel like with a lot of people, like, when I started my depression, like, started, like, a lot of, like, emotional stuff like that, like, did a 180.
Yeah, like I feel like I didn't get like any really type of emotional maturity or becoming any type of like emotionally articulate like from my parents like whatsoever, like didn't understand like how to deal with, like couldn't recognize like anxiety or couldn't like recognize like depression or anything, because it was like the same thing, like, oh, like what do you gotta be depressed about, what are you sad about, like you're being taken care of, like there's nothing going on in your life that you really should be feeling super down about. So like, and I had like a depression, not too long ago, but like 2 years ago, like, it was like really bad, but it was still like thinking like having those feelings of like I should be okay, like stuff, like I'm working and everything, I'm taking care of everything, like I know it's a lot. It's that whole feeling of like, like the whole starving kids in Africa thing. It was like,
Oh,
it's
yeah,
people,
yeah, yeah.
it's people that got it way worse than you. Like you are straight, you are okay. But yeah, but when I was going like through the depression, like instead of, because normally I'm really really chill or like super like happy dude, like I'm super smiling all the time, or I'm just extremely laid back. Like it's not too much shit that's gonna get a rile out of me. But when I was going through, like, it changed my personality to be. I was more so, instead of being more so chill, it was more so like a down on myself, and being like just negative about a lot of things, and not understanding, like because I didn't get a lot of emotional like maturity from my parents. I'm being able like to understand what certain emotions and certain feelings was. I couldn't even articulate that I was like depressed. Like it was because my wife had so like she was the one that really like caught on with it and like helped me like get through it and everything. But so yeah, I'll definitely I understand that being not having somebody like to bounce like your emotions off of, so it's pretty much just leaving you out to the wind to figure out some shit. Like what I'm curious to know, like if you mind sharing, when you say you were depressed in your teenage years, what helped you realize that you were depressed?
It's funny, like it was actually kind of like two different points, like, and like at this point I can't remember which came first, but I think like the moment I was like, I am depressed, like damn. Um like like because I never experienced like any kind of like strong emotion as like depression in my
Yeah.
life. Like I was like that was like new to me. Like it's like, what the fuck is
Yeah, it's
this?
intense. Yeah, it's intense. Yeah.
Yeah, like I never felt like it's such a like brick wall of emotion like before in my life. So, and I remember it like I was like I said, it was my junior year of high school, and like begin like before like classes started, like early in the morning, where everybody like standing around talking to their friends and stuff. I remember like I was in the cafeteria and I was like with a group of friends, and they all of them were sitting at a table, and like a couple of us were standing like up behind some people, and like everybody's talking. I remember like all of a sudden just feeling like a stab in my stomach, like just like, and like an overwhelming sadness just like wash over me. And I was like, and I could like feel tears welling up in my eyes. And like, I like ran to the bathroom, like to like, because I was like a very hard person. Like even to this day, like I don't want people to see me cry. Like no one could see me cry, kind of thing. So it's like I felt that coming on. I was like, oh, bathroom, go. And I got to the bathroom. I thought before I started crying, but like it was so funny, like. Because, like, I was not, like, a popular person in school. Like, people knew me, but, like, people knew me because it was, like, oh, that's the Asian girl. Like, you know, that's, like, the girl with the weird name, like, kind of thing. So it's, like, that's how people knew me. And I remember, like, I was in the stall, like, just, like, starting to cry, like, trying to cry, like, quietly. And, like, I felt my phone buzz, and I, like, grabbed out my phone, and I looked at it, and someone had texted me, like, from Facebook, and they were, like, just some random person like I barely kind of knew, but like I kind of like knew them from like some club activity that I did with them. And they texted me and they're like, "Hey, I just saw you in the hallway. We're like, you crying? Are you like upset?" And like I never cry. I certainly don't cry in public. So it's like
part of that thug life, bro.
Like yeah, exactly. Like emotion? What was that? Like you know, like but like I was very like an enclosed person, like crying in public, like absolutely, like people can't know, like I'm upset, like you know. So like sitting there in the stall, and then like you know a couple people that were like by me, like when we were talking at the friend, like at the table, like had followed me into the bathroom, like Cerela, are you okay? You okay? Like outside the stall, and I'm like sitting there, like fuck. I'm like depressed. Like that's like
shit is serious.
I just like got like so overwhelmingly sad. Like someone just told me like my cat died or something. Like you know, like and like nothing happened. I was standing there having the time of my life, talking to my friends, and it's like all of a sudden I'm crying in a freaking stall. Like what the fuck?
What is going on?
What the like you know, and that was like when I was like I'm pretty sure I'm depressed, and like the way I had to confirm it was like making a doctor's appointment, but like under the guise of like telling my dad like, oh, my stomach hurts, like because like I can't be like, oh, I'm depressed, dad, like I need to go get this diagnosed. Like I couldn't say that, so I had to you know lie and say I'm going to the because like my stomach hurts. And I told the doctor, I'm like, you know, like I'm not eating. Like I used to like, you know, like I'm picky, but like I would eat like a whole pizza. But now it's like I'm barely eating once a day, like, you know, kind of thing. It's like I'm sleeping all day long. Like I'm not active like I used to be. And the doctor's like looking at me like, yeah, that's depression. So like here's a medication, you know, here we go, like kind of thing. I'm like, fuck. Like what? Like, you know, like I've barely been able to deal with like basic emotion for the last like odd years, you know, like now I gotta deal with this by myself, like because my dad's like looking at me like depression, you like you know, and my dad was working when I was 5. What are you gonna be depressed about? Like you know, like my dad's like I was in the coal mine, like, you know, working my ass off.
Well, I was
like,
born with a pick in my hand.
Right, like, you know, like that was my dad, like you know, like I like so he's like, what the fuck do you got to be depressed about? You don't gotta work. You're like going to school in a white suburban neighborhood. Like you get whatever the fuck you want. You have no reason to be depressed. So it's like at that point I'm like I have no one to talk to, and it's like I'm not close to anyone like that to talk to them about something like that. Like you know, like I have friends, but like I've never like there were only key points in my life where I had like a really close friend that I could share that with. And like even when I did with her, like which was one of my like really close friends, like Mary, she like at the end of it where it's like where I started getting really bad and I couldn't talk to people anymore, and I was like not hanging out with anyone anymore. Like I like ended up canceling on her and another close friend like a couple times in a row, saying like, oh, I got homework to do, I can't hang out, and they just cut me off and like stopped being my friend. And like they were like, yeah, you know, she's not like a real friend, like whatever. And I'm like, what? Like, you know, kind of thing. And at that point, like I really was like, I can't share this with anybody. Like, what the fuck? Like I just shared that with like, you know, my 2 close friends, and they just like cut me the fuck off. And so it's like at that point, like I really was like, you know, that emotional maturity was like just going down the drain.
Yeah, what did you do to get out of the depression?
Uh, get out of it. I'm still in it. Like, I mean, like at that point, like it, like like when I first was depressed, it was like really bad. Like,
Mm,
the way I got out of it, like to be honest with you, like I know, like it was just like time. Like eventually, like it's like it calmed down. Like it wasn't as bad. Like
yeah.
like I like yeah, like depressed, but it's like that's now it's not debilitating. Like I can do
Mm,
shit now. I can get shit done.
mm,
But like even like to this day, like I'm still depressed. Like like unfortunately haven't found that cure. Like figured it all out. But it's like I've gotten better with it. Like I'm able to like I have somebody now to talk to about
mm,
it. Like I have someone to open up to. I don't have to like keep it all to myself. I
yeah.
have like my boyfriend that helps me out through it. I have friends that like want to hear me. So
Mm.
it's like
Yeah, so like always having somebody, somebody to express, even like if not anybody like to really like communicate the same things or like I understand with just having somebody like to just listen, just listen to some of the shit that you're going through, so you don't feel as alone in it. It's always like always a big thing. But to get back to the point of to the main topic about like our parents and everything, what three things do you wish your parents would have taught you or told you as a child that would have helped you out in like your adulthood?
probably like more just like it's like a big thing that's like a debilitating to me as an adult still is like just like money.
Yeah,
Like being able to save money, being able to be like, oh, I want this.
yeah,
No, I don't need this. Like, like I wish like my parents had been able to like
mm,
teach me to like have restraint with stuff like that.
mm,
Which, like even without me being spoiled, I also grew up watching my mom before she started working and before she like separated from my dad, like watch my mom like get money for my dad and just like buy whatever she wanted. So it's like I
mm,
also watched that growing up and I wish like I've been able to like be taught to say no to stuff that I
yeah,
don't need, like kind of thing.
yeah.
Like,
No, I definitely feel you like on the money thing because like mom, like 'cause growing up with my mom, it was especially because I got two younger sisters, so it was always been like a check to check type deal, like living like check to check, and like anytime we got like extra money, it's like all right, we got a couple extra dollars, we're about to go out to eat or some shit, or yeah, let's go do something fun. Like so, it's like this is not really like saving money, but like I get it, like you don't really have money to like do a bunch of shit that you want to do. So when you get the slightest like opportunity to do something, like you're gonna take it. So like in my adulthood, it was like I didn't want to live like check to check, but I ended up finding myself like slipping into those habits like early on, and like had to like get out of. It was like okay, like I didn't like not knowing what to do with extra money. It's like I spent all my money from my first check, then I got another check. I was like, well, I mean, having some money left over from my old check, then getting another check is like, what am I supposed to do with this? like I don't know. Like a lot of times I end up just giving money to like friends, or it's like I want to go out and do something. Like my friends have got no money, I'm like, fuck it, come on, I'll pay your way, let's go. like
gotta get rid of it.
yeah,
Got
like
money
just
to burn.
yeah,
Let's
like,
go.
I need I'm not used to having like a bunch of play money, like so I need to like just spend it or like give away or like put it towards somebody doing some type of shit. Like I know money
I
is meant
can't
to be
just hold
spent.
on to it.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not supposed.
like
I'm
it's gotta
not
be
feeling like
spent.
it. Yeah, I'm not. I don't feel like I'm supposed to be holding on like to this much money. Yeah, like I had to get out of that, and that didn't really happen until that didn't really happen until like probably I was like 23, like 22, 23 when that really changed for me. It was like yeah, like I don't want to live check to check. Like I don't want to have to like if I miss a check, I'm not stressing over it. Like it's cool. Like, I can go a week without getting paid. So, but yeah, that definitely like took some time, like to emotionally get to that point, like knowing like it's okay to have extra money, save it, like you don't have to spend it, like just leave it there, like leave it the fuck alone, it's okay. Well, all right, so you got one thing down. What's another one?
Like probably like my like my need to like impress people. Like
Mm,
I wish like my parents were able to like because I guess like I said like they weren't there a lot for emotional stuff. So it's like they weren't there to like it's not like my parents were there like tearing me down my confidence or anything,
Yeah.
but they weren't there like helping me like learn how to build myself up
Mm.
confidence wise. So it's like I was like still am like insecure to where I'm like, oh, I gotta impress this person, like they gotta like me, like like what do I say to like get this person to like me?
Mm.
And like I wish like my parents like taught me that at least like that emotional like um
Validation.
ability. Yeah, like
Mm.
like to be able to like have that confidence in myself to not like care that much at least.
Mm.
Like I care too much about like what other people think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like that's like like that confidence, that emotional like just stability. Like I wish like my parents were had been able to teach me.
Mm. Yeah, I remember like growing up, like, I used to want to fit in like so bad. Like I remember during the whole like big like white tee era, everybody was wearing those super biggie baggy like white tees and shit. I'm like, I got to do this. When the Air Force Ones were really big, had to try to get me as many of those as I could, just try to be cool, try to fit in and stuff, and just doing a bunch of shit that I knew that I didn't like or I didn't really want to do, but I felt like it was needed, like to like fit in and everything. And then I don't really know what changed for me. I think it was around like my 11th grade year in high school, and I was just like, I just got some type of fuck it in my system, and I was like, man, yeah, I'm done. Like, yeah, this shit is not working for me. I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to be like other people, and was just low key and just chill. I'm like so much more happy. Like once you get the fuck it in your system, it like it's
You
so
just
much, so
don't
much.
care
You
anymore.
just
Like
don't
it's easy
care.
going.
Like,
Yeah.
just do not care. It's like everybody's trying to like go out to a party. Like, yo, Jay, want to come out here and shit? I'm like, nah, I'm fine. I'm about to chill. I'm about to play the game. Like, I am good.
I'm out.
Yeah, like, like I found it's a lot easier to be honest, like with myself and with other people about shit. Like, and saying like, yo, like people like have opinions about things. I'm like, man, I really don't really fucking care about it. Like it really don't mean shit to me, man. Like, like it's not even on my radar. So yeah, I get that. Wanted to have that emotional maturity to be well, like that emotional like validation. I think that's a big thing for people that grew up alone, that either grew up like as an only child or grew up alone a lot. Like I said, I wasn't the only child, but I was like to myself a lot, because if I wasn't out helping my mom, if I wasn't out doing a bunch of shit for my sisters, like I was just secluded into my room by myself a lot. So I think that's a common thing with people that grew up like that. All right, so one more left.
Like like probably just like in general, it's like that, just like that whole emotional like ability kind of
Mm.
thing. Cause like it's like even to this day, it's like or just like being able to accept like when I'm wrong,
Mm.
like kind of thing. Cause like my parents like like that saying where it's like when two people are too similar, they tend to hate one another,
Yeah.
like kind of thing. Like you hate somebody that's similar to you. Like
Mm.
that's kind of how my parents were. Like they were very similar in like the negative ways,
Mm-hmm.
which is why they ultimately ended up divorcing. So it's like they both had like really bad anger problems and like really bad narcissistic problems to where it's like they could not accept blame where it's like it's clearly
Oh
placed
yeah.
on them
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing. And it's like I wish like I like was like able to like it's like it all goes back to that emotional like ability, just like any kind of emotional thing where it's like I wish I had like that ability to like recognize like yeah, like I'm at fault here. I need to like not blame other people, but
Mm.
like, accept that responsibility for myself because
That's a
like
hard thing to do.
oh yeah, like and it's like that kind of like mentality, being able to do that kind of thing like
Mm.
allows you to like improve yourself like personality wise, like whole self wise, like
Mm-hmm.
instead of like being like spoiled, like I'm able to be like a functioning adult that's able to be like yeah, I don't need everything that I want, like kind of
Mm.
thing, where it's like and I didn't really learn that from my parents because like I watched them do the exact opposite. Like I like like I still complain that they do that to this day, where it's
Mm.
like so it's like I really never learned that from my parents at all, like
Yeah.
to be able to accept like like responsibility to change, and that like like I don't want to blame my parents for everything, but it makes it hard, like
Yeah.
especially when I'm still young, like like I'm 22. It's like I'm still like molding myself into like who I'm gonna be for the next rest of my life generally. So it's like 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 I'm trying to improve myself where it's like but like I still am at that point where it's like my childhood and my upbringing will like still like greatly impacts that like kind of way.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Like it was just like a past episode we recorded where I was talking about that, like getting cool and comfortable with yourself and learning like yourself, especially in the realm of like getting into like a relationship. I think everybody should be comfortable, have to be at a spot to be good enough with themselves to hear negative stuff about themselves. Especially, like I said, when you get into the realm of a relationship, because your partner is going to tell you about yourself. It's like, look, you do this and this shit isn't good. Like I don't like when you do this, and if you're not if you're not like comfortable
that
enough
criticism,
with yourself,
like, accepting that,
if you're not good enough, like in a comfortable enough position enough with yourself, you won't be able to accept that criticism. Honestly, like as like just criticism, not like somebody being like vindictive or like angry or anything like towards you. Like you're not going to be able like to accept that healthily. So yeah, definitely like understand that. It's something I had to learn. And like, I think my wife for being like being patient with me, like to help learn it. Because it is not an easy thing, but I do think everybody like should get to have somewhat of a level of being able to accept criticism about yourself, before you can really be successful at anything. Because you're gonna get told no a lot more than you get told yes. Yes.
oh yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, it's definitely
like a big thing, like when you get interviewed they ask you like what's like one negative thing about you like that you need to improve on. Like my go-to is always like I am so like it's so hard for myself to accept criticism, like
yeah.
like accept it without getting so offended,
Yeah.
like being able to just be like, okay, yes, this is something to improve on, I recognize it, like kind of thing. It's like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I at least am at the level where I'm able to like recognize like yeah I do this, like like I have that level of like self-awareness, and I very much in like pat on myself on the back that I have that, because I watch a lot of people not have that self-awareness, but like yeah I have that self-awareness, but like I still just like I kick myself so hard, like I'm like oh god, like I'm like oh like I'm so stupid, like kind of thing. Like I'm so hard on myself, and it's like somebody's like looking at me like it's like chill, like damn, it's not that deep, like just like fuck, like just improve on it, like kind of thing. And I'm like over here like no, I'm like digging my grave, I'm so dumb, like like kind of thing. Like
they're like, yo, Cerela, put this over here, like you put this right here, and I need you to put it over there. Like, oh my god, they fucking hate me. Like
and that's how I don't know if you remember how I was at GameStop, but it's like anytime like I messed up something, like I kind of like I'd start getting like, oh fuck, shit, like damn, like now I'm gonna go stand in the corner.
You were thinking, like you're gonna lose your job, like yo, like it is okay. like
but
you are good.
I'm like, I think I'm like 16 at that point, so it's like, oh, GameStop, like this is like my like it was like my second job technically, but it's like basically my first job. So it's like, oh, but like my first job, like I'm fucking up, like like they just told me I put this game in the wrong like section. I'm such an idiot, like like it's like I'm like yeah, I got that self-awareness of where I'm able to accept that I done something, but it's like I just like I shame myself so hard, like it's like I take it so personally, like like I'm like oh god, like I'm such a moron, and it's like no, I'm just learning something, like like relax.
Yeah, it's getting to that sweet spot, where it's like a lot of people is either like they take the same route like you said that you take, where it's like get super down on themselves. And then it's those other people that's just like outwardly like express like the anger is like well fuck you then, I ain't gotta deal with this shit, like over like some simple like criticism and shit. So but it's get to that sweet spot where like yeah you can understand where you fucked up and like be able to to act like a normal person to
and like move on,
criticism.
accept it and move on. Like,
I'm like, yeah, I was
you know,
fucking
like
up. Yeah, I probably shouldn't do that no more. You know, instead of just blowing up or just being like extremely like negative on yourself. It's always you gotta find that sweet balance. Because I know people that do both. Like you just tell them like, yo, man, you probably shouldn't do that. That probably isn't like the best thing. And just blow up and like just fucking explode. Or you like, yo, man,
you're like,
it is
dang,
nowhere
like
near
relax.
that deep.
That's not that deep.
Like it is
Yeah,
nowhere near that deep, man.
And that's, you know, that's funny. That's literally both my parents. Like, you know, like I have this a lot constantly with my dad lately because, like, you know, like I'm doing this whole like trucking thing and like I have to go through him because he's he's the one with the CDL, so I'm learning everything from him.
Yeah.
But it's like, so I have to coordinate a lot of things with him, and it's like he has this problem of like telling like he'll be home like he'll only be home like for a few days every couple of weeks, and he has this problem of calling me to tell me he's home so I can like, you know, come over and like learn some stuff from him.
Yeah.
And last time like he'd done this, he's like like I'm like, oh, you know, like when am I gonna learn the truck driving? He's like, well, when you come over here. And like I like just like went like, well, it's your fault because you don't call me. And like, you know, simple thing like it's like you don't call me, it's whatever. Like blew up. It's like, you know, like it's like, you know, like it, like, you know, the volcano exploded. Like we're suddenly like we're going back to like how like I have commitment issues as a child, and this now revolves into, like this turned into like now how we're in the truck driving thing. It's like, well, you're just not committed. Like you've never been committed to things, and it's like, what? Like you know, like as a child, like yeah, as a child, you couldn't commit to nothing, and it's like, damn, why are we getting so deep? Like I just said, like
just let me know
like,
when you're home.
Exactly, like you know, it's like I try and pat myself on the back because like I'm like, you know, to myself I'm like, at least I'm not like that. But then like, you know, I look back at myself again and it's like, but damn, am I really any better when I'm like I can't accept simple criticism without like digging my grave out of embarrassment or shame? Like, you know, like you said, it's like finding that like that middle ground of like being a normal person and
just the fact of being okay. Like, you know, like it is so tough sometimes just being okay. You know, like just not being extraordinary or anything like that, just being calm and cool. You know, that like that's the sweet spot to really like to strive for. But I feel like we went into this issue pretty good. I feel like we hit a lot of nuance in it. So we'll be right back with the next topic. All right, we back to Keep It a Buck podcast, and now we are in the internet fuckery section where we either talk about some silly internet memes that we found or internet debates. And today I got a question. I got like an internet debate question. So it goes: you're on a date. They give you $25 to gamble with. You lose it. They give you another $25. You win $4,000. How much money you giving them?
Damn, is this a date or is this my sugar daddy taking me out? Why they like?
I mean, like you go to a date, so like say you going on, you had a date, like you going to the casino and dinner and shit. You know, you like trying to have some fun at the casino. They give you $25 to gamble.
He's like, here's your allowance. Here's your your $50. You know, like here, you spend it wisely. You know? Like, no, like I'm just like, I don't know. Like every time somebody says date, I don't know, my mind instantly goes towards like first date. So I'm like just thinking like, why is my first date handing me money? Like, is this my sugar daddy? Like that's immediately where my mind went.
You went so deep into it. You didn't have to go that deep.
I was like analysis. Like, what are we doing here now?
Look, what is his plans afterwards and before? Like, what was the build up to the casino day?
What's this casino? You know, are we staying overnight? Like, is this the third day? Like, see, that's that overthinking, that anxiety, like, you know, like that millennial like thinking, that like overthinking. Yeah, that's it right there.
So what you doing? Like you sort of like don't gotta be a sugar daddy or nothing. We're just like, you know, like
it's just my date. Like,
you know, like he wanted to pay for the date and everything, you know. So like, he paid for dinner and everything, and wanted to give you some money like to gamble with and shit. So like that's the backdrop. Yeah, it don't gotta be too much deeper than that. It's cool. It's fine. You know.
You know, it's just a simple question.
It's just simple.
No, to be honest with you, I am like. I'm such a like I hate it, but I'm such a pushover. So it's like this person gave me money. I'm sitting there probably overthinking it a lot more than they are. Like I'm sitting there like, oh my god, like like what is the like what should I do? Should I just give them all the money since this is technically their money? Should I split it with them? Should they get more money? Should I get less money? Like I'm like
You would have a little mini dilemma, like
I'm the one like having a panic attack, and I honestly do not care what happens. Like I would love to, like ideal situations, like half, like like. But like I feel like it's the other person that would probably be more of a problem. Like I feel like they would be like, okay, so like how much money am I getting here? And it's like, yeah, take anything, like here, fuck, like shit, it's your money, like. I would just be like, I'm such a pushover. Like, I would be too anxious about the fact that it's like, well, they gave me the money. Technically, this is their money. Like, we're like into that overthinking. Like, I'm instantly like, well, they gave me the money. Oh my god, like I can't keep this. It's like robbing them. Like, I'm a bad person. Like,
it is nowhere near that deep, Cerela.
But it's like it's always deep to me. Like, we're talking about an imaginary scenario.
Yeah,
I'm over here like, oh, fuck.
You're over there sweating and shit.
I'm, like, glancing over at my boyfriend like, oh, fuck, like, shit. Like, what do I do? Is he going to get mad at me?
Like, it is okay. It probably won't blow up,
It's not real. Shh, it's okay.
Like, relax. Get some tea. Like you'll be good. Like, the relationship will still be there afterwards, Like, if I blew the 25, then they give me another. So, like, they spent $50 on me. And I end up...
Are you about to say, like, here's your 50 back?
No, I'm not going to give it... No, I'm not going to be that bold. I'm not going to be that bold. I'm like, but 50, then I end up turning that 50 around to 4,000. I think giving them... I think 1,500 is good. I think that's a good. Like you got way more than what you gave me. I'm like I'm still the one that pulled the lever. I feel like so. I feel like I deserve the bigger share of it.
It was my luck that brought this to this point.
I picked the machine. I picked the numbers. I pulled the lever. I feel like I put the footwork into it. It's like an investment. Like you bought some of the company. But you don't do nothing.
You don't get all the profit.
You don't get all the profit. But you can get your fair share. I think the 1,500 is I think that's acceptable. But
see, that's why I can't win the lotto. I'm such a guilty-ridden person. Like, while you were saying that, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. Like, I'd be sitting there like, oh, God, like, I'm fucking this person over hard, and they were here. Like, so, like, yeah. I'm, like, guilty conscious, man. Like, it's like, I'm the ideal person to, like, be with if I won the lottery, because it's like, you're like, oh, I'm automatically gonna get checked, and I didn't even do shit. Like, I'm just with her.
Oh, well, let's flip the situation around there, like something similar. Like, say you win the lottery, you win like 500 million, right? What's the first 3 things you're buying?
Oh, what's the first 3 things I'm buying? Like, I feel like
first off, I feel like you're gonna get too anxious again.
No, like don't overthink it. Like you already hear it in my voice. I'm like, oh man,
like shit, man. Like I feel like the hand going to your forehead, like shit, man.
And you know what? Like it basically did. Like it just went on my chin. Like I was like, oh shit, let's think about this. Like too deep. Like calm down. Like let's come up from the like water. But probably like like the number one thing that I saw like like I've ever seen about lottery people is like they always like end up like in debt after winning the lottery. And it's like I feel like I don't like I understand it, but it's like that's like my number one goal is like if I win the lottery, like probably hire somebody to like manage my money, because like I'm such an idiot. I'll probably like buy something and like I'll owe more in taxes than I could ever owe on it in a lifetime, or what I have in my lifetime to like actually pay it. So probably an accountant. Like that's my first like an accountant, like because dude, like I can barely manage like $1,000 right now. like $1 million, like oh god, like I'll probably put myself in debt. for the rest of my life.
So an accountant.
I gotta hire.
You know
yeah,
what?
an accountant.
Cerela, I gotta say, that's one of the most boring answers. Like, to what you would do if you went to like, I'm gonna get an accountant.
Okay, like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, my actually first immediate answer was like, what if I, like, because I'm currently thinking about it now, like, is in terms of, like, what I want to do in my life. I was like, I'm gonna buy a dispensary. Like, I'm gonna buy
a... You know, buy a business, that's something. All right, so that goes.
Gotta invest the money somewhere. But, like, like, a good dispensary, like, not one that's, like, like, it's about to get, like, raided, like,
But that's one thing I definitely gotta say. I've never heard anybody say, "I hit the lottery, I'm getting an accountant." Just the first thing that comes to my life. I'm finna ball out on an accountant, somebody named Steve. To manage my money.
Can't wait to hire Steve, man. He's gonna make sure I don't fuck myself over in taxes.
All right, so we got an accountant, we got a dispensary. One more. What's the next thing you're gonna get?
I don't know, man. Like, could I, like, am I able to, like, just buy, like, a PS5? Are they gonna be, like, available? Are they gonna be available?
Like, you don't gotta spend the whole, like, like, $500 million, like, in the first 3 purchases, Like, just the first 3 things you're buying. Like, that's it. You don't gotta blow it all. Like, just first 3 things you're getting.
No, like, I don't know. Like, probably try and, like, buy, like an actual good PC setup.
Yeah.
Like, currently I have an Alienware laptop that I stupidly bought as like a 17-year-old when my dad was like, yeah, what laptop you want to buy? Anything. Just like fucking pick it. And my dumbass was like, yeah, you know what I'm going to buy? A gaming laptop, Alienware, top tiered. It's like, yeah, top tier into throwing your money into the trash. Like, kind of thing. It's such a garbage laptop, but it's like the only thing I have right now, and it's like I would love an actual good PC setup, like, kind of thing.
Oh my gosh, I'm definitely going to remember the accountant one, the accountant line. That is,
dude, hilarious. Like, I want Steve, man. He's gonna manage my money better than I ever will in my life.
That is hilarious. I think first thing off rip, I'm getting a house. I'm gonna get like a house and some land just to get.
What kind of house? Like, like a nice fancy house, or a house with, like, an acre of land, like, kind of thing.
I am. My wife will like a super big house and everything, but I don't need that much space. Like I very rarely leave my room. It's either I'm in the room, or I'm in the bathroom, or I'm in the kitchen to get some food to go back to my room. So I don't need that much space. So my main thing, like, my goal in life is to make enough money so I can retire and just be on the farm. Like, I will be happy as a clam just farming for the rest of my life. Like, so I would get like a decent sized home, probably like 4 or 5 bedroom home. If I got the money, I got $500 million. I'm going to ball out on it. So I'm gonna get about a 4 or 5 bedroom home with a couple acres of land, and I'm just gonna be there primarily. I think after that, I'm gonna travel a lot. I'm gonna knock off my travel list. Like, talking about
what's the first place you go?
That's a good question. First place I hit up, like, a lot of people want to go like Europe and shit, but I want to go to places where the dollar is going to go further. Like, I want to travel. I always want to travel, like, West Africa. I want to go to, like, Nigeria, Ghana, like, Senegal, and I think I told you before too. I actually wanted to go to the Philippines. I want to go to Manila. I want to see the beaches there. I want to go to Vietnam. I want to see Singapore, because that place is so fucking, like, extravagant and everything. So I want to travel. Like, it would be hard for me to pick which one first, like Asia or Africa, to which place to go first. But I might. That's which place I go first is that's a harder question.
Yeah. So, like, you're picking, like, countries that's just, like, your money's gonna go further.
Yeah,
like, it's like
further, yeah.
Countries where it's like, if we go even now, like, with not being millionaires or stuff, we can, like, feel like we're rich.
Yeah, like, you're gonna be comfortable. Like, you're gonna be real comfortable. Yeah, so I probably hit up like West Africa first. I probably go to Ghana first because I do want to move there in some point in time in my life. So I do want to. I'll probably go to Ghana first. Yeah, so I would travel, buy my farm, and the third thing, I'll probably do some stupid shit. I'll probably just take flying lessons, like buy like a small plane and just try to learn how to fly. Like I probably wouldn't like fly myself places, but just want to learn how to do it, just for the fuck of it, just to have like a weird flex. Just like I got my like my pilot's license. Like
I got my
randomly in
license. If you ever need to like pull like like end of the world scenario, like one of those like there was like fucking like there's like 7 of them. I can't think of the specific one, but one of those 2012 like end of the world movies where it's like where you had the like where the guy has to just know how to like drive or like ride a plane because it's like fucking like the world's ending and like that's a skill to have like there you go, you pop out that skill.
I want to do it just for like a weird place. It's like just randomly in conversation. I'm like, so like I flew to Cleveland yesterday myself. Like just decide I know how to fly a plane.
Like I done it.
Yeah, I did it. Like like I don't need anybody else to do it. I got it myself. That's probably the things I would get. But
so like back on like on a comment you said like you're like, oh, I buy something stupid, like that's why you need a Steve, man. Steve stops you from buying stupid shit. Like he keeps you in check. Like you go to call Steve like, hey Steve, I'm financially set for like pilot lessons, and Steve's like, what the fuck you need pilot lessons for? Like it's like Steve keeps you in check.
I think
so
I
you
am
don't
deserving.
Buy that stupid stuff.
I am deserving of one like just stupid pleasure buy. Like like I'm not trying to do like no Mike Tyson shit, like get a fucking white tiger and just have it in my
just have it like
a tiger. I'm not trying to do no super shit on that level. Like it's still gonna be a skill, at least I can say that. At least I learned how to do something. But it is fucking useless for the most part. It's gonna be stupid. Like, I think I am like just allow one just dumb buy like any like just crazy like pleasure spin, or I might just I don't know. I might just rent out a theater for like a day and play like Smash Brothers in one of the big like projection theaters, like just for the fuck of it. Like I know I would do some stupid shit at least once. Like there's no way I'm gonna get that much extreme wealth and not do some like just some stupid pleasure spending. Like it's going to happen. But I know. Do feel like you're
like that's all I do with my money. It's just like spend it on stupid shit.
You know what? I don't know if I can believe that. It's the first thing you said you're doing is buying and getting an accountant.
No, it's because I say that because we were just talking about how like I was spoiled as a child. So it's like you give me like a fucking $1 million, dude. Like I'm gonna find some way to spend that all in like fucking a day or some shit. I'm so stupid. Like I'm like money, spend it. Like that's how my brain is like wired. So it's like I have to like stop myself. I have to like accountant stops me.
What would be your
Steve stops
item? Me. What would be your splurge item? Like just like you can just spend as much money as you want on it. Don't gotta worry about being told no. Don't have to worry about any like repercussions or saving money. Like what's your splurge buy?
Like so like I had this like I get like I guess like a bad habit of I pick up stuff that I'm like interested in, like like let's say like baking, like I'm really interested in like doing that, and then like I'll just drop that for like a fucking like 2 years or whatever, and I'm like, oh, other interests, like kind of thing, and then I'll pick it up again. But it's like I'm so extra to where it's like I have to go like it's not like where it's like I just pick up bacon. I'm like, oh yeah, let's just bake a cake. Like it's like I have to buy all the shit that comes along with it. Like I have to invest into it. Like that's how much I need to be stopped when it comes to spending. Like I like so it's like I probably like splurge on like whatever stupid interests I have at the time. Like
you just learn how to skate, and now you got like a whole collection of like rollerblades and skateboards and shit like that.
See, like you're laughing, but I totally do that. Like I would go like hard. I'd like be like, I have to set it up, dude. Like I have to like get a whole like room dedicated to just holding all these skates. Like it's like no, it's like dude, like get into it first and like calm down, and then like we'll see if we like it. No, it's like funny. I have to be like slight interest. We have to like go hard right now.
Like I am actually very similar. Like remember Thomas from GameStop? Like Thomas
Yes.
got me into playing Magic, like the card, like the trading card game Magic, and like I played with him like once and just fell off the cliff. Like I have so many fucking cards now. Like it's ridiculous. It
Oh
ended
my
up being
God.
like it was like almost every time like I got off of work, I had to pass by it was like the Walgreens. I was like next door and shit. I would always stop in the Walgreens, get a pack, like just hoping to get like a cool card and shit. And like I remember just like realizing like how much money I spent on this shit. I'm like, yo, I need to stop. This is a problem. You're right. I probably need a Steve in that moment. I probably need a Steve in that moment. Like, yo, like put his hand on my shoulder, like Jay, this is done. Like you're done with this.
Like, I just looked at your account and you just bought like 50 packs of like Magic cards.
It was like
Magic
that.
the Gathering. Like, we need to calm down.
Like it was like I wasn't even like playing with a lot of people. Like that was the bad part. Like, I was just either I played with Thomas or like I played with my wife. At that time, she's still my girlfriend. Or I played with her. And like that was about it. Like it's not like I had like. I was going out like to the game,
like the competitions.
Yeah, I wasn't
and
doing
stuff
that shit. Like no, I'm casually playing. I got all these cards and shit for casual play. Like on the weekends and shit. It was bad. Like I probably need a Steve in that moment. I probably need a Steve.
Like calm down, put you in your like track. So that's funny that like you bring that up about like Magic the Gathering. It's like I had the complete opposite reaction to that because like I had like I like get 100 too hard into stuff, and it's like my ex introduced me into Magic the Gathering, and like I only played with like him and then like his like our coworkers. So it's like I'm literally not playing with anyone except this one group right here. And it's like so I would borrow like the first like couple times like I played with them, like actually played for the first time, I borrowed their deck, of course. And it's like after that, like my ex was like, oh hey, you want to go get a deck or whatever? And it's like, oh like some of the cards, or a lot of the cards for the Magic of the Gathering, like the illustrations on them, I find them very like, I'm such a simple-minded person. Like I'm like, oh, pretty. Like they're so pretty. Like like a lot of those cards. Like I was like, oh, they're so pretty. Like I love them. And so when my ex would ask me like, oh, you want to go get your own deck? I had to stop myself. Like I had to be like, no, I'm not. I'm not into this 100%. Like, I just feel like I'm never gonna, like, like, I like Magic of the Gathering. Like, if I'm, like, with a group of people, like, and, like, that's what they want to play, like, I'll join in. Like, it's an enjoyable game, but it's not one that I, like, want to invest into it. Yeah, like, like, I love it, but it's, like, I'm, like, not into it that way. But it's like I have to, so I know that ahead of time. So I have to stop myself from just like going hard into this game that I'm like I'm not invested in, but it's just like pretty cards. Like, like that's how simple I am sometimes. It's like, like that's why I need Steve to be like, Cerela, yeah, it's pretty, but it's like your account's not going to be pretty after that. Like today, like I go to GameStop, like to just look at games, and it's like, I don't know if you know what Pushin', I think I'm saying it right, like the pushing cat, like the little gray cat, like figurine thing. Like,
oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like some Japan thing, but like like Japanese thing, but like GameStop sells these little figurine, like the mystery collection thing, and it's like $6.99 for a thing, and it's literally like a freaking mini figurine, like nothing, like a McDonald's toy, like kind of thing, like. And I'm like over here looking at it like, oh my god, so pretty. Like I want it. It's $7, bro. Like what are you doing?
And you
like
say you get like the mystery ones too. You don't even know what you're getting, right?
Yeah, like so it's like I could be getting total garbage. I'm like sitting there like I'm like trying to like convince myself, like I'm looking at the back, like look at all the like stuff that you could get. So it's like all of them are worth it. It's like it's $7 for a little mini figurine. What am I doing? Like and like you're talking about like giving me $1 million, like no, like I'm gonna spend it all in a day. Like I'm gonna buy this stupidest shit. Like I need a Steve to put me in check. I need a Steve now. Like
I definitely feel like like if either of us ever get to the point where we get an accountant, like the accountant name has to be Steve. Like that needs to be, that got to be like the first requirement. Like get any resume application, if the first name isn't Steve, like gotta get thrown away.
Throw it out.
Like,
Like no, just
away.
gonna put it in the ad. Like name's gotta be Steve.
Yeah, gotta
like
be Steve. Non-negotiable.
Even if that's not even your legal name, you just have to go by Steve.
Yeah, like if you go by Steve, like that works. If your nickname is Steve, we can do that. Like we can work with that.
You better answer to Steve, like requirement.
Like, are you at least willing to be called Steve? Like one point or another at a time, Steve will be called.
Like don't be confused, like kind of thing. Like that's the requirement.
Like Steve, like no, we mean you, Randy. That's all right, but we'll be back with the last topic. All right, we're back and with our last segment of head to head, like our own version of versus. We pick two things to go up against each other to see which one would you rather do or which one you think is better. And today it is: would you rather go on a trip around the world alone or travel the entire U.S. with your family? Which one you
travel the world alone, man? Like wait, but like actually no. What do you mean by family? Like my immediate family.
Your immediate family.
Oh yeah, no, like travel the world alone. Like, you trying to tell me to go across the whole United States with my divorced parents? Like, whoo, man, they still talk shit about one another to me, and they've been divorced for like 5 years. Like. What
family would you swap it out with to make it more interesting?
More interesting?
I like make it a harder decision for you to make. I mean, because you said like my immediate family, or like who else did you have in mind?
I don't know. Like I could like. It would make it a harder decision, like if it was like more of a stable family, like I could like imagine doing it. And it's like, okay, I'm not gonna like fucking like pull out my hair. Probably like my boyfriend's parents, like they like or not his parents, but like his family, because like they actually get along. They could like do stuff like like when it comes to like holidays or like family stuff, it's like we go to his family. Okay. We don't go to my family.
Let's do it like that then. Like either like travel the world alone or travel the U.S. with your boyfriend. Which one?
Go travel the world alone. Like he's still got a big family. I'm not trying to travel in a big group like that. Like I'm more of a loner
just
type.
You and him.
Like,
just you and him. You and him. Just you two. It's like you two across the whole U.S. or you alone traveling the world.
Oh, then like with him, because it's like as much as I like being alone, like man, I'm anxious. Like I can barely like what was it like the other day like we're in like Target or whatever, and like I'm like trying to figure out like what the prices are for something, and it's like like what the simple like solution would be to that is to just walk up to an associate and be like, hey, what's like what costs more? I'm like over here like, what the fuck do I do? Like, where's like the price scan? Like, where do I go? Like, where do I like? How do I figure out the answer here? And it's like. I'm like looking at my boyfriend like, oh, thank God you're here. Hey, go ask him. Like it's like I'm like whispering it too, so the guy doesn't hear. Like it's like I'm embarrassed or something. I'm like,
oh my God,
I'm like 15-year-old asking about condoms or something. Like, hey, go buy the condoms. Like no, like I'm like asking about prices. Like I'm too anxious. I can't go to another country by myself. Like
that's funny.
Like I have blue hair right now, like like I go to another country, everybody's staring at me, and I'm like, oh my God, what is it? What's going on? I'm like, I can't enjoy my vacation because I'm like just anxious.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. You said like you were whispering in Target, trying to keep it a secret.
Oh, every time, like dude, like I'm like over here, like even if like, I'm so ridiculous. Like I'm in my car, like we'll be in my car, and it's like. Something will happen, and it's like my boyfriend will start like trash talking like about like a person that's like in front of us or something, like in their car, like they're in their car, we're in my car. Like I could have my window crack like slightly, and I'll be like, like pushing it. I'm like, hey, be quiet. Like they're gonna hear. Shh. Like I'm like, they're gonna fucking hear over the sound of both our cars like running and their windows up and mine only slightly cracked. Shut up. They're gonna hear like. That's how anxious I am. My boyfriend's like looking at me like, "Are you on crack? Like, what the fuck? They're not gonna hear." Like we're on the third floor of my apartment complex, and like something's going down on like like on the street level, and like he's like, I have the window cracked, and he's like talking shit about like something going on. And I'm like, "Shh! They're gonna fucking hear from 3 stories up. Be quiet, man!"
Dude.
Like. My boyfriend's like looking at me like, what are you on? Like, what the fuck? Like, they're not gonna fucking hear, but okay. Like, I'll shut the window for you. Like, my boyfriend accommodates a lot of my silliness. So.
That is funny. If I had to travel like the U.S. with my family, like if it was with my immediate family. Like
your wife or like
I would include her, like my wife, my mom, and like my sisters, and like my dad. I think I would definitely do the travel with the family. I don't know though, because if it was just me and my wife, no question, But with the rest of my family, I feel like I'm not gonna be able to do the shit that I want to do the whole time. Like everybody's gonna have their own opinion and shit, like what to do, and I feel like I'm gonna end up going on like excursions like by myself anyways. It's gonna like defeat the purpose of like going with everybody. So if it was like just me and my wife, then like no question that like we're going, like I'm traveling the U.S. with her. But if my entire my entire immediate family like had to come, I might pick traveling the world. I don't know.
So like that saying, like 3's a party, 3+ is not a party here for you. Like you're like nah, like that.
And it's not
3
like
is too many.
And it's not like we're gonna like it's like I have a bad time with my family at all. It's not that. It's just I know like the traveling aspect with it. That's what's gonna make it answer. I feel like my mom's gonna get irritated by everything, like especially when we go out west, it get too hot. Now I gotta constantly hear about it being too hot. I don't want to do this and shit like that. I feel like that's gonna get irritating quick. Now I feel like my dad gonna be complaining about about a bunch of shit, so that's just gonna get irritating and gonna get old real fast. Like even if it was just like with my sisters and just without my parents, I think I could do it. Like if it just wasn't just if I could leave my parents, or if I could just go with one of them individually, like then sure,
it's easier.
Yeah,
I feel like this kind of question is like for you specifically, since you have like more like you have siblings and stuff like that, is like an easier question for you because like it's like. Yeah, I don't want to travel with my family. That's too much. Like, because because you have like this whole big family to travel with. Like, like the only experience I've had of seeing that was like when my family was like, my parents were still together. We had like a camper or an RV. We took that to Cedar Point, and we also had my my cousins. So like, my aunt, my uncle, and then just 2 of the siblings from that family. So like the older son and then the older daughter. And they all came with us in the RV. And like when we went to the actual like park itself, like we weren't all like hanging out together. We went our separate ways. But like I just watched them like just like bicker and like fight and like me and my parents they were like, okay, well, what do you want to do, Cerela? Like Cedar Point's for children, like you're the only kid here, like what the fuck do you want to do? Like you want to eat? Okay, let's go eat. You want to go on the ride? Okay, let's go on the ride. Like like I'm like doing whatever the fuck I want, and then like I look over and like my cousins are like fighting. They're like, well, I want to go on this ride, like I want to go on that ride, and it's like, whew, thank God, like kind of thing.
Like I'm glad I don't gotta go home to that.
I'm glad that's not my vacation. Like like I'm not fighting. Like I like so the like for you, I feel like it's like you have like you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm not trying to travel with my whole family like that.
Like it'll just be too much. Like I said, like even if it was just even if it was just like my mom and my sisters, I think it'll be cool. Even though my mom would yell a lot, I know she'll be yelling a lot on the trip. I still think like I would rather like do that, have those memories with them. But yeah, like throwing my dad into the equation, then not everything's off balance. not
Now it's a circus.
Exactly. Now it's a circus. Now it's a bunch of just shit just going on for no reason. Yeah, so that'll make it stressful. So like to save myself stress, I would probably like I'll go along. I'll be in Japan by myself kicking it. I'll hit up some temples, see some
go see some other cultures, see some other countries. See the sights in peace.
I'll be in India vibing. Like having a good jolly time.
You don't have to hear people screaming like, "No, we're gonna go do this. Yeah. We're gonna go do that." Like just vibing on the beach.
Yeah, I ain't gotta worry about my mom trying to like organize the day for me, like organize the schedule and shit. Like, all right, we're gonna get up this time. We're about to go do this. And we're gonna do this. Like,
I feel like moms are like that a lot because that's how my mom. Like, my mom was just like that when we went to Cedar Point. Like, my mom was over here trying to have like a fucking itinerary, and it's like, like when my dad's over here, like, what the fuck are you on? Like, the girl wants to go eat. Let her go eat. Like, what? Like, like my mom's like, it's not time. Like, my dad's like, time for what? We're on vacation. Like, if she wants to eat, she can eat. Like, I remember, like, my dad's actually, like, still bitches about that to this day. Like, he'll like, it's that whole like vindictive attitude between the two of them. Like, like my dad will still like bring up something like that. Like, like remember how your mom just like, how your mom's just like on crack and she just like, she just needs to plan everything. Like, oh my God, like she just can't enjoy a vacation. I'm like, we were just talking about like, like Cedar Point, like how did you like what? Like
when did this come up? Like I actually want a Burger King there. Like what's
like that's like that's like the kind of shit like that my dad does.
Yeah, like I do think all moms are like that. Like just like I don't even know why. It's not like somebody like asks them either. Like mom, like can you like make us like up like a trip plan or anything like that? Like they take it upon themselves and get super
to just build a plan, like
extremely invested in it and do not like don't share and like won't share with everybody like the plans of making it up either. Like you find out like that day and like all right, this is
as
what
it's
we're
happening.
Doing. Yeah, as it's happening. Like no, you can't do that because we're supposed to be doing this. Like what? Like I didn't even sign up for none of this shit. Like, I just wanted to go off like no fuck around out here or something.
Yeah, what I think it is like, because like, typically the moms are the ones taking care of the kids. So like they're the ones trying to keep like everything in order instead of like in chaos. So they're like already anticipating like, oh fuck, well we're like going off into an area where we're not like familiar with. These kids are gonna fucking cause problems. Like build a plan, like and the dads are like, what the fuck are you doing? Because like the dads typically don't deal with the children, so they're just like, we're on vacation. Like what kind of a freak show is like building a plan for like a fucking vacation? Like that's how my dad was. He's like, what? Like you're like, what's wrong with you? Like we're on vacation, enjoy it. Like
relax. Like it's not that deep. That might be the title of this episode. It's not that deep.
it relax. It's not that deep.
Like, it is not that deep. Well, I think that's it. This has been another episode of Keeping the Butt podcast, and we out.